Los Angeles. Thanks for watching us tonight. Is the Democratic Party in serious trouble? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. First of all, we need two vibrant parties in this country. Robust debate and different points of view strengthen the nation. But a big change is taking place. The term loyal opposition in politics is now devolving into just opposition. The loyal has left the building. In President Trump's case, no matter what he does, there are some Democrats who will oppose him, and that is harmful to America. Also, there is deception. Last night, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi held a town hall. The subject of illegal alien violence was raised.
In 2010, one of the illegals slaughtered my son.
I'm so sorry.
He tortured him, he beat him, he tied him up like an animal, and he set him on fire. And I am not a one-story mother. This happens every day because there are no laws enforced at the border.
There's nothing, I'm sure, that can compare to the grief that you have, and so I pray for you. But I do want to say to you that in our sanctuary cities, our people are not disobeying the law.
That is flat out untrue. A deceit that is outrageous. Congresswoman Pelosi well knows that in San Francisco, her hometown, an illegal alien deported 5 times is now charged with murdering 32-year-old Kate Steinle. That man, 54-year-old Juan Francisco Lopez Sanchez, will be put on trial soon, but the verdict on San Francisco itself is in. Guilty of failing to hold Sanchez even though the feds asked for him to be detained. They let him go. Somebody tell Nancy Pelosi. Now, all over the country, Americans are outraged that a beautiful woman like Kate Steinle was gunned down by a foreign felon who had illegally crossed back into this country 6 times. Yet Mrs. Pelosi has the gall to say that in the sanctuary city of San Francisco, our people are not disobeying the law. Did Sanchez disobey the law, Mrs. Pelosi? Again, you told a bold lie, madam. If one of the most high-profile leaders of the Democratic Party is that arrogant, that dishonest, what does that say about the party in general? And Mrs. Pelosi did not stop there, continuing to criticize our economic system.
We're capitalist, and that's just the way it is. However, we do think that capitalism is not necessarily meeting the needs with the income inequality that we have in our country.
So Americans who are not ideological are hearing this kind of stuff, that sanctuary cities are acceptable, that capitalism is not, quote, meeting the needs of our people, they turn away. But the Democratic leadership doesn't seem to understand that, even though they lost the election. In fact, Senator Tim Kaine, who ran with Hillary Clinton, but was not a factor in the vote, pretty much disappearing during the campaign, is proud of his party's rebellious stance.
What we've got to do is fight in Congress, fight in the courts, fight in the streets, fight online, fight at the ballot box. And now there's the momentum to be able to do this. And we're not afraid of the popular outcry. We're energized by it, and that's going to help us do our job and do it better.
Senator Kaine says he's not afraid of the popular outcry. Well, he should be. Talking Points wants a strong Democratic Party, as well as a vibrant Republican Party. That's the way our nation functions best. But right now, there's a political civil war that is actually harming the USA. And until politicians stop the deceit and embrace policies that help all Americans, that war will continue. And that's the memo. Now for the top story reaction. Joining us from New York City, Eric Bolling and Geraldo Rivera. So, Geraldo, where am I going wrong?
Well, I think that in terms of the undocumented immigrants and the crimes they commit and whether or not they commit more crimes per capita than citizens do, you and I have had that debate. You've clearly won that debate among our audience. A majority of the voters in a majority of the states thought that undocumented immigrants were an issue so compelling, so profound, they propelled Donald Trump into the White House. But in terms of the Democratic Party, let me just say that in my view, they will be more effective as an opposition than they ever were when they were in power. They were a dysfunctional power player. I think that now in their weakness, and sanctuary cities is a great example. They are not shrinking, they are spreading. Now you have 4 states: California, Rhode Island, Vermont. You have Colorado. You have Washington State, Oregon. You have 39 major cities, all the biggest ones: New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Baltimore, etc. You have 364 counties that are sanctuary counties. Why? Because the local law enforcement have deemed it necessary, that they have the trust of the undocumented immigrants, so they can feel free to call 911,
But that's
call
not
the cops,
necessarily
call
so.
the fire
All of the
department, and so
places,
forth.
all of the places that you named are very liberal precincts.
Yes.
Where politicians depend on the migrant votes to win, the immigrant votes to win.
I disagree
But-
with that. I totally disagree with that.
I think the data backs that up, and a guy like Rahm Emanuel and Bill de Blasio, Chicago, New York,
it is the
they
front
couldn't
line.
win.
It is the front
They
line of
couldn't
the
win.
culture class right now. Sanctuary cities will be the front line. It'll be blue against red. It will be the front line.
Would you say that
in
Nancy
towns
Pelosi-
and cities and states
Would
and
you say that
universities,
Nancy
churches?
Pelosi uttered an outrageous deceit when she said that last night?
Well, when you're talking about Sanchez, a murderer, a pig murderer,
Yeah,
but then
that's
to
in
hear
her-
the
that's
11
in her
million
neighborhood.
undocumented here, I think that you use
that
this
was outrageous.
egregious anecdote to make a general point, and I think it's very unfair. But again, I've
know,
lost this argument to you. I apologize
It's
to our
not
audience.
unfair.
I know I'm
Nancy
out of sync
Pelosi
with
made a
them, but
flat-out statement
this
that
is what
people
I
in her
think.
sanctuary cities don't disobey the law, and it's a lie. Is it not, Bowling?
Well, I'm not sure she's saying the people, the illegals there aren't disobeying the law, or she's saying that local law enforcement isn't disobeying the law. Either way, there's a federal law that says, hey, if you're illegal, we're going to
No,
deport
she
you.
said the people.
All right,
She
fine,
said the
fine.
people. She didn't say law enforcement.
Well, whatever. With Geraldo saying that the reason why there are more and more sanctuary cities is because local law enforcement wants to use illegals as snitches so that they can solve crimes is ludicrous. The reason why there are more and more
Calling the fire
is
department.
because
Wait.
the reason why that's happening is because there's been no penalty for breaking federal law. Once there will be, if Donald Trump is true to what he says, if you're a sanctuary city, we'll cut off federal funding. Watch how many of these cities or states say, you know what, that sanctuary idea wasn't such a great idea for us
We'll
here
see,
locally.
we'll see. But people ought to know that the sanctuary order from the federal government is, if you have an illegal, undocumented person in jail, you have to inform ICE, Homeland Security. That's it.
I agree.
That's the order.
I
They have
agree.
anything to do with gardeners or chambermaids. The left lies about it, says that the feds and Trump want to round up all these innocent people just working hard. They lie about what the sanctuary is defying. The sanctuary is defying that simple order.
I agree.
If you lock
I
somebody
agree.
up,
But-
you have to inform.
But they have the absolute constitutional and legal right to comply or not comply as they will.
Oh, no, they don't.
It is
No
no
constitutional right. There is
The First
nothing
Circuit, the
constitutional.
Third Circuit, the Seventh Circuit, the Supreme Court of the United States, the 10th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States all
You're
say
gonna see
that
that.
immigration is the federal problem. Local and state cannot
That's
be
right.
commandeered by the federal government to be
No.
immigration
It's not
officers.
commandeered. They have to obey federal law. Bowling gets the last word.
Well, you just said it, Geraldo. If you want to go divert to the Constitution, you can knock yourself out. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that someone who is here illegally should have a right to stay. Is there a privilege under some certain sanctuary cities? Perhaps, but that will stop again. I'll go back to the numbers. As soon as the numbers, and they're staggering. Hundreds of millions of dollars, in some cases, billions of dollars that can be pulled back from these local municipalities, and watch how fast they cave on sanctuary.
All right, we'll see if Bowling is correct. Gentlemen, thank you. Next on the rundown,